Greetings everyone. Welcome to MOOC on NGOs and Sustainable Development. I am Nisha and I work in the field of environmental conservation. I am now going to speak on role of NGOs in environmental protection and sustainable development. To start with sustainable development, it is a holistic approach that aims at achieving social development, economic development as well as environmental protection for the well-being of present and future generations. And the Sustainable Development Goals, which is adopted by United Nations in 2015, provides a blueprint to attain sustainable development. We have certain examples of sustainable development. These are like using biofertilizers for agriculture, using biogas from biodegradable waste, using energy efficiency appliances and public transport for commutation. So, even if an individual is using public transport for communication, he or she is contributing for sustainable development. There are also several examples like recycling wastewater for reuse and protection of urban water bodies from encroachment and pollution, and also promoting urban gardens in cities so that they provide heat mitigation effects and also increase greenery in the surroundings. And we also have examples of using renewable power for our appliances, and also developing master plans for cities based on land use and land cover also is an example for sustainable development. Okay, so what do NGOs do towards sustainable development, and what are NGOs actually? NGOs are commonly referred to as they are non-government organizations, and they are also non-profit organizations that work in the area of education, healthcare, environment, human rights to effect changes according to their objectives. NGOs are usually funded by donations from private agencies or government agencies, and they also obtain funds through grants. Areas of interventions for these NGOs in environmental protection are for awareness generation. They also help in resource development and documentation. They help in introduction of alternative livelihoods and coordination and assistance with various government departments, and also they help in habitat monitoring management and restoration. What is an NGO? Non-governmental organization, commonly referred to as NGO or non-profit organization. They work in several areas for the betterment of communities. So, they work in areas like education, healthcare, environment, human rights according to their own objectives. And NGOs are usually funded through grants and donations, and these grants are provided by industries, private sectors, government agencies, from national and international agencies as well. So, what do these NGOs do? They intervene in areas like their intervention is quite huge in for betterment of communities, and they work on areas like awareness generation for environmental protection. Recently, Tamil Nadu government, they launched a campaign for using cloth bags instead of using plastic bags. So, there is a campaign that is being made by several NGOs to use cloth bags. That is called a Manjapai campaign. So, in such cases, NGOs are creating huge awareness for avoiding plastics. So, that is one thing, and they also work on resource development and documentation. When it comes to resource development, NGOs are very good in collating information, learning materials, and disseminate it to public for wide usage. So, they contribute a lot in resource development and documentation. They also help in introduction of alternative livelihood. For example, there are several lakes and water bodies. While there are fishermen who are fishing at these water bodies, there is also an option that when the weed is removed from the lake or a water body, that can be used as a source for producing some other material like baskets from weeds, from the straws of the weeds. They are using, we can make baskets and mats and things like that. So, NGOs are also helping fishermen in pursuing alternate livelihood options, and they also help in coordination and assistance with various governmental departments. NGOs also help in habitat monitoring management and restoration, etc. So, these are again what you can see in the screens are once again the list of activities that the NGOs perform. They are involved in awareness raising, environmental monitoring, education, training, capacity building, research and analysis on critical issues and providing inputs that are very helpful to policy makers. They help in planning, design and implementation of environmental projects, and they also monitor it. And one excellent point about the NGOs are they are able to mobilize community support, they are able to reach communities, and they are able to bring them together for performing any activities. And they not only communities, they are also able to mobilize funds for environmental protection through CSR activities. I am going to share with you few case studies about few case studies on NGOs on environmental protection activities. The first one is a lake restoration project that was done jointly by the Nature Conservancy, the CARE Earth Trust, Indian Institute of Technology Madras, and other organizations like the Finnish, Indian Leather Institute of Foundation, the Solution Centers and OSS Designs, etc. So, this is the lake restoration project, and the objective of this project has been to kind of do a science based restoration work and to gather the learnings and disseminate it. So, this kind of science based approach can be replicated widely for restoration of water bodies. So, let me talk about this demonstration project. The restoration was done on a 100-acre lake. It is called Sembakam Lake. The water storage capacity was about 10 million cubic feet, which is quite huge for a city like Chennai, and to find a lake in the middle of a city like Chennai. But the lake is not in a good ecological condition. It is polluted, it is infested with weeds, and it is also encroached to some bit. Let me share a case study about the Sembakam Lake project. The Sembakam Lake is a 100-acre lake that is situated in the peri-urban area of the Chennai city, and the lake is polluted and infested with weeds, and it has got other environmental issues as well. The storage capacity of the lake is about 10 million cubic feet, and it is connected to one of the Ramsar sites, that is the Pallikaranai marshland in the city. The lake is surrounded by about 10,000 plus households, and it provides excellent biodiversity habitat. It has got near threatened species like spot-billed pelicans, river tern, birds like that. So, it has to be protected. So, there are NGOs who came together like the Nature Conservancy, the CARE Earth Trust, and the organization that I have mentioned before like IIT. They came together and they took up this project, and they wanted to demonstrate a science based restoration activity at Sembakam Lake. So, the learnings can be compiled, documented and disseminated to others. So, the other practitioners can also adopt it to replicate in their efforts. So, the project goals what they had was like to improve the water storage and the groundwater recharge from the lake, and they were also trying to improve the water quality by implementing a nature based treatment system. It is a non toxic way of treating the wastewater instead of adding harmful chemicals, and they also wanted to improve the biodiversity habitat, and they were also working on creating a recreational landscape for the local communities to use, and they were also planning for a post restoration monitoring and management. This case study involves like the pollution monitoring as well. So, the lake had problems like invasive species and solid waste, and there were excess of silt accumulation at the lake which had to be removed, and there were also a huge quantity of wastewater coming inside. So, the NGO had they initiated with mapping the pollution sources of the lake. So, on the right you can see there is a lake and there are pollution sources modified, and they were working to address the pollution as well through nature based systems. And finally, they have desilted the lake. By desilting the lake, they have increased the storage capacity of the lake by 1 lakh cubic meter, which is about 36% increase in the storage capacity. So, the water storage capacity of the lake has been increased. So, this has led to a increase in groundwater replenishment in the area, that is estimated to be about 50,000 cubic meter per year. And not only that, they are also demonstrating a nature based treatment system using constructed wetlands. So, as the wastewater is coming to the lake through a series of plant based bioremediation system, the wastewater get treated, and the purified water or the cleaned water enters the lake, thus replenishing the water quality and quantity of the lake. It also serves by this process, the project also provides a better biodiversity habitat for the other fauna that uses the lake as its habitat. So, these are some of the activities that the NGO had done. So, before as I said, this is a science based restoration. They have conducted a geotechnical survey of the lake to find out the lithology of the lake. So, they will come to know like to what depth the lake has to be dredged. So, after studying this lake, they understood that the lake was underlined by a fractured zone of weathered rock. So, they cannot go beyond certain limit to dredge the lake. So, if at all they went beyond a certain limit to dredge the lake, it will lead to increased percolation, thereby the lake may not hold so much of wastewater due to seepage. And they also did a community survey. They did a community survey to understand the perception of the community, to know their interests and how they wanted the lake to be transformed. So, their baseline assessment include a geotechnical survey, the community survey, and also a biodiversity survey that helped them to plan the restoration activities. They also cleaned the inlets so that would prevent flood and stagnation at the lake. They also installed a flood regulator at the lake. This will enable manual regulation of the flood water levels at the lake. Some of their activities also included weed removal at the lake, so that the lake gets more aeration and the biodiversity thrives. And when the NGOs took up this lake for ecological restorations, they studied the various environmental issues that were present in the lake. So, they found there were a lot of invasive species that were grown in the lake, such as water hyacinth, Prosopis julifera, etc. And there were a lot of solid waste that were also being dumped into the lake. It was present in the lake. And there were also excessive silt accumulation at the lake, which compromised the storage capacity of it. And it was also found that there was a huge quantity of wastewater that was entering the lake. So, when the NGOs wanted to kind of address these problems, they also mapped the various pollution sources around the lake, and they found there were several wastewater inlets that were coming, and they wanted to address it in a non-toxic and a safe manner. I am now going to share with you a case study on eco restoration of Sembakam Lake that was carried out by NGOs and academic institutions. The extent of the Sembakam lake is about 100 acres and the storage capacity of the lake is about 100 million cubic feet. The lake is also connected to one of the important biodiversity habitat, which is a Pallikaranai marshland, which is also a Ramsar site in Chennai. The lake is surrounded by about 10,000 plus households, and it serves as an excellent biodiversity habitat by itself, and it also has a strong involvement from the community. So, these NGOs came together and they wanted to restore this ecologically degraded lake. And when they wanted to restore the lake, they set up certain project goals. One is like they wanted to improve the water storage capacity of the lake, which will also impact the groundwater recharge in a positive manner. And they also wanted to improve the water quality of the lake by treating the wastewater that is coming in the lake, which will also improve the biodiversity habitat and would also help becoming the lake as a recreational place for the local communities. And they were also planning for the restoration, post monitoring restoration of the lake. So, these were the project goals that were set by the project team. And they also studied the environmental issues of the lake, so that they can plan the restoration in a scientific manner. So, they found out that the lake was infested by invasive species such as water hyacinth and Prosopis julifera. It was also facing solid waste pollution because solid waste has been dumped into the lake, and the lake was also facing a silt accumulation problem, which also compromised the storage capacity of the lake. And there were also wastewater, huge quantity of wastewater that is coming into the lake. And when the NGO started this work, they kind of mapped the inlets all around the lake, so that the wastewater can be treated, or some mechanisms can be adopted for treatment of wastewater and then let into the lake, so that the water pollution in the lake is reduced. And the project outcomes they achieved and achieved are like they dredged the lake, removed the silt, and thereby increased the water storage capacity of the lake by 1 lakh cubic meter, which accounts to 36% increase in the storage capacity of the lake. This also led to the increase in groundwater replenishment by about 50,000 cubic meter per year as an estimate. And they are also planning on demonstration of a decentralized wastewater system, which is a nature based approach without using any harmful chemicals or high electricity. So, it involved a phytoremediation process, so that when the wastewater passes through the system, it gets cleaned and the clean water enters the lake. So, this was another thing that they were planning and they are working on. And they are also creating a community recreational space around the lake. So, the community gets connected to the natural habitats and the natural spaces, and they also wanted to impact and create a better biodiversity habitat, so that the fauna which has been using the lake can come back there again. To start with this project, they conducted a baseline assessment. So, the baseline assessment included technical studies as well as community surveys as well as biodiversity assessment. So, the results of these studies would help them guide the restoration process in a scientific manner. They did a geotechnical survey which was led by Indian Institute of Technology, Madras. They carried out the lithological survey of the lake to understand the optimal depth of dredging the lake, so that it will actually lead to optimal desilting depth as well as water storage. And they conducted a community survey to understand the perception of the community, like what the community expected from this restoration work and how they wanted the lake to be transformed in a better manner, and their thoughts and ideas for the restoration project. And a detailed biodiversity survey was also conducted to understand the flora and fauna present there, so that the restoration project can help bring back the native biodiversity in the area. The NGOs also worked on clearing and cleaning the inlets, so that the flood waters enter the lake smoothly and does not cause any flood inundation problem. And they also installed a flood regulator at the lake, so that the flood levels or the water levels at the lake can be manually controlled. They also removed weeds from the lake, so that the water gets more aerated and the native fauna is able to thrive there healthily. These are some pictures from their dredging activities. The lake has been desilted, which actually led to the increase in storage capacity. And with whatever dredged material, they have strengthened the embankments, which provides drought mitigation benefits. The embankments have been heightened, and the water storage capacity of the lake has also been impacted by that. They did a huge mass communication activity also. They engaged with communities, they brought them to the lake, they cleaned up the lake with community, and they united for a cause to clean up the lake. So, this kind of activities actually help in protecting the water resources, the natural resources in a city. So, this was a kind of a demonstration project that the NGO had actually taken up for restoring a lake. So, that was an example of a demonstration project, a pilot project by an NGO. So, this is very helpful. This kind of projects are very helpful in mitigating the water risks for Chennai, which frequently faces the floods as well as the drought problems. We also know that the Greater Chennai Corporation has restored 210 water bodies in the city of Chennai, and out of the 210 water bodies, close to about 64 water bodies have been restored with the help of NGOs through CSR support. Okay, so that was the example on demonstration project, and this project, which is called the Chennai Urban Farming Initiative, is a project on creating awareness and capacity building on urban farming. So, the objective of this project that was led by Chennai Resilience Center is to transform Chennai's urban spaces, communities and neighborhoods to become more resilient to risks related to climate change, specifically heat, food insecurity and unemployment. So, this NGO called the Chennai Resilience Center, what they did is they helped in establishing urban farms in areas such as schools, hostels and other government buildings, where they are able to increase greenery and also provide job opportunities to people to be involved in farming. So, what this actually impacted was kind of improving greenery in the living spaces. It also helped in kind of reducing heat, and also helped in the community connecting to activities such as farming, because these days the people in the community, they are all using lots of gadgets and they do not have time to involve in recreational or activities such as farming. So, this project also enabled communities to get into activities like farming and to understand the food production systems as well. This project by Chennai Resilience Center established about 12 farms of 1000 square feet of urban gardens, and they established model farms at places like Anbagam Homeless Shelter, Andhra Mahila Sabha, Chennai High School Adyar and Perumbakam Resettlement Colony. These served as demonstration projects for urban farms as well, and besides this they also conducted training and capacity building activities, and they created trainees, so that the trainees would in turn train people to develop more urban farms in the city. They have helped nearly 171 women self-help groups, and kind of given training to them to kind of expand these activities to other centers. And there were about 971 teachers, children and community members who are benefited from this project. And besides helping these people in training and setting up farms, the Chennai Resilience Center also helped in kind of maintenance and incentivization of these projects. They gave awards to performers who did well, who expanded their gardens, who maintained their gardens well. So, about 30 best gardener certificates were given to people who kind of built their garden and also maintained it very well. So, this will encourage them to actively engage in these activities and also expand their activities in their neighborhoods. The reach of CUFI initiative, which is the Chennai Urban Farming Initiative, has been phenomenal. The project was able to reach to about close to 1000 residents and 138 staff, about 10,000 children and along with their mothers, and close to 500 staff were benefited from the project. And they have also worked in a place for deaf and blind and government aided schools, where about 2,100 children benefited from this project, and they have also worked with 2 resettlement colonies of about 750 families. So, this project also helps them kind of attaining food security in the local area and to connect with the farming in their own places. And the third project, the third case study that we are going to talk about is Harit project. So, the expansion goes like this: it is harnessing the power of agriculture residues to innovative technologies. This is also a demonstration as well as capacity building project for reducing air pollution in North India. This was a pilot project that was done in North India, that this was done by the Nature Conservancy India. The background goes like this. Like we know about the air pollution and how it is in India. As per the statistics, there was about 1.67 million deaths caused by air pollution in India in 2019, and these deaths were caused due to air pollution, the particulate matter that is present in the atmosphere, as well as from the indoor air pollution. And Delhi has suffered the highest per capita economic loss due to air pollution. About 12 to 15 million metric tons of paddy residue is burnt annually, which is contributing to the particulate emission and thus affecting the people and the communities. So, it was also reported that the crop residue burning in the neighborhood states such as Punjab and Haryana is also contributing to the air pollution for about 40 to 50%. The Nature Conservancy, which is also an environmental NGO, they came up with this Happy Seeder project. So, what this project done is to create awareness and training to the farmers, telling that crop burning is not a solution for crop rotation. So, the practice goes like this: when farmers in North India, they want to rotate the crop from, like when they harvest paddy and they want to cultivate wheat, usually they burn the residues of the paddy crop. So, that burning leads to lots of air pollution and emits carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, which affects the health of the people. So, the Nature Conservancy kind of provided training and knowledge for the farmers, telling that to avoid crop burning, and to use nature based solutions like using the residues of the crop as mulch or to provide moisture to the fields, so that whatever seed is planted, it will grow in a fertile land. So, by this process the crop burning will be avoided and the soil will become fertile. And this project will lead to benefits such as removing the need to burn the crops, and it saves water for irrigation. It also improves soil health, it is carbon positive, and it also improves farmers' income. The pilot project was carried out in 7 districts by the Nature Conservancy, and it was covering nearly 850 villages. The project involved 150 direct demonstration, 700 behavioral change communications, and the beneficiaries for this project involved farmers, agricultural entrepreneurs, and service providers. And the activity that the Nature Conservancy carried out was like demonstration and trainings on how to use the Happy Seeder machine. The Happy Seeder machine is a tractor that has a shredder inbuilt in it. So, as the tractor with inbuilt shredder moves along the farms, it cuts all the residues and converts it into a fertile spread. So, when it covers the fields, it acts as a mulch, thereby improving the moisture content of the soil. So, they showed demonstration activities of the project and also conducted trainings to the farmers on how to use these machines, these tractors to kind of use the mulch for soil fertility instead of crop burning. And they also facilitated peer to peer learning to use these kind of solutions for avoiding crop residue burning. They also helped in communication outreach. They promoted entrepreneurships from this program, and they were also engaged in policy discussions to provide subsidies to the farmers purchasing these tractors with inbuilt shredders acting as happy seeders, and they were also involved in monitoring activities. So, the earlier project focused on preventing air pollution, at the same time improving the quality of agriculture in the districts such as Punjab and Haryana and in any agricultural farms. So, we can conclude that the NGOs have contributed phenomenally to sustainable development. They have helped in creating environmental awareness. They have helped in inclusive development, which is very essential for sustainable development. They have helped heard the voices of the unheard, those the marginalized communities, and they have helped a lot in research and analysis and providing policy inputs, that is to influence decision makers towards taking towards adopting environmental friendly solutions. The NGOs have contributed a lot in working at grassroots levels for access to healthier environment, sustainable livelihoods, and better living standards for communities. They have also inspired and motivated society to act and demand meaningful environmental protection. We thus come to a conclusion of this session, and I thank you so much.